Hello and welcome to this edition of Press Conference on RVN TV. I am your host, Jim DeLorenzo, the principal of Jim DeLorenzo Public Relations. You can find me online at jimdelorenzo.com. Now, I have found that my career in public relations is my true vocation, telling the stories of my clients and colleagues in a compelling way to drive sales, membership, and awareness. I've been blessed in my career, and I have many ideas that might be helpful to you. Please feel free to contact me directly, either by email at jim@jhdenterprises.com or by cell phone or text message at 215-266-5943. I would enjoy a conversation with you, and you can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Now, in that career of mine, I've had the good fortune to meet many interesting people: athletes, entrepreneurs, reporters, coaches, authors, executives, editors, entertainers, and innovators. As we are in a period of reflection and regrouping and rethinking of our professional and personal lives, one idea that I embraced recently is taking better advantage of platforms like LinkedIn or Zoom to interact with my clients, my colleagues, and my friends, but also to expand my network, my contacts, and my business. One of the fruits of those efforts is my introduction to my guest on Press Conference today, Rick Carter. Rick is the creator, owner, and CEO of LIVAYO, Inc. Rick created LIVAYO, which means live with joy, based on his own experiences and visions of the value of small business and how to help small business owners, to steal a phrase from William Shatner, get a life. The LIVAYO vision is to see more small business owners confidently start up and succeed in small business with more prosperity, longevity, and peace of mind, to live with joy along the journey. The mission is to change the fortunes of small businesses for the entrepreneur who deserves the reward for all their hard work and taking the risks to act on their passion and benefit others. The strategy is to organize business for growth through LIVAYO's organized routines structured in the 4 drivers of business success: product, market, money, and manage. Rick launched LIVAYO in January 2020 and is actively sharing the LIVAYO philosophy through a series of videos and other content on both the company's website and their YouTube page. Rick's successes in healthcare consulting over the past 30 years exposed him to a number of practices that work and others that don't. And he started LIVAYO in response to what he saw and experienced along the way. Rick, I'm very pleased to have you on the show today. I think what you're doing is very interesting, and I'm hoping I can share that interesting story with my viewers today. One of the first things we talked about along the way when we started our conversations was what inspired you to start LIVAYO. What was that motivating moment or that one experience in your life? And you tell an interesting story about your youth and driving in a car near your home. Could you share that with us today?
Sure. First of all, thank you very much for that intro. I think I'll write it down word for word and use it. It's very good.
Thank you.
So
I'll be happy to share that with you.
Yeah, so I have 2 points, 2 inflection points, 2 points at which I had decided I've got to do something about this. One was just 9 months ago, and one was, 50 years ago.
Wow.
The one 9 months ago was after spending 40 years as a healthcare consultant and traveling around, doing consulting work. I just thought, I've got to think about the second life career, the thing that I want to do for the rest of my life. And it wasn't, living in hotels and traveling full time and working in that, healthcare world, which is exciting and fun and interesting today. But I had done it for 40 years,
Sure.
And there was something on my mind and something on my heart and something that was put into my soul years and years ago that I wanted to do. And so I ended that career just 9-10 months ago and went full time to work on LIVAYO. But it all started really when I was a young boy. We lived in a neighborhood, and every time we left that neighborhood, we would go by a certain building. There's a little building on a corner, like, you know, there's a light at that corner, and on one of those corners was this little building. Now, my dad was a executive in a big business, not a small business. So I heard big business language my whole life. And the stories you hear about culture, about the big business, how things work, and it sounded all very organized and structured and wonderful. And so we would go by this building, and you know, being a young 9-10-year-old boy, you just observe these buildings. And what I noticed was the building kept changing what it was.
Okay.
You know, I think it was originally like a lawnmower repair shop. And then it became a florist shop, and then it became, like a little coffee shop. And after a few years of observing that, one day I asked my dad about that. I said, "Why does the business keep changing?" I had an expected answer in my head.
Okay.
I kind of had an answer in my head that I thought was going to be the answer.
Okay.
You know, because I had heard all about big business, and I know this sounds ridiculous, but you got to think again about being that young. I thought there was some kind of big committee or big, you know, some city people or, you know, some business people that, you know, that organized business, and they just decided to, you know, to change this business every once in a while. And so I was thinking that the change in the business was like strategic.
Right.
Right. It's like someone actually had a strategic plan and say, well, the next 2 years we're going to be a coffee shop, and then we're going to be a lawnmower shop, and that's how I thought. And my dad said something that was so different than what I thought. He said, "Oh, Rick, every time you see that closed for business sign on that building, it means someone's dream has died." And that just hit me.
Sure.
It just hit me like, what? And so, long story short, when I finally, you know, finished school and moved on with life, and the first thing I did was run a small business. And sure enough, when you get there, you go, oh, now wait a minute. You know, all the big routines, the established patterns, the way things work didn't exist.
Right, because
And I thought,
you're
okay,
on your own.
I got to solve this, because the saddest thing that I still see, so I've been thinking about this and working on this for, you know, 40 plus years. Still, one of the saddest things I see in life is when you go by a business and you see that closed for business sign, because you know what that means, right? You know it means not only someone's dream has died, but it's very possible that they've lost hope, they've lost confidence in themselves, they likely have lost their investment, they may have lost all the money that they had.
Right.
But I still think the thing that is the saddest thing to think about when you see that happen is the loss of hope, and how it crushes the individual.
Yeah.
Because they take this huge risk, and there is a high expectation that it will work and pay off. And so I went about my work to figure out how to solve that problem. You know, Jim, it is almost by definition something built into being an entrepreneur and in a small business. And I think it's just horrible that it is.
Yeah.
And that is the statistic that people throw around, you know, oh, well, you know, 50% of businesses, you know, die within 5 years. And somehow, like, that's inherent
Right.
in the game. Like,
that's
somehow
the way it's gotta be.
built in.
Yeah.
And I wanted to solve that problem. I said, it doesn't need to be. And so of course, I went into small business. I've owned small businesses. I've started them. I've built them. I've sold them. I've bought them. I've grown them. And I have failed in them. And it is, I wish I could say that all of my ventures have been successful, but I'm kind of glad that I had that one gigantic size failure so I could feel that feeling, and it is horrible.
Yes.
Horrible. It took me about 7 years to overcome it.
Wow.
And when I finally did, I just got back on the horse, and because if you're a piano player, you're a piano player. Look at with you. You're very much a people person. You're very much a inquisitive person. You're very easy to talk with, and that's just kind of in you. Well, I'm an entrepreneur. You don't wake up one day and you put a badge on that says entrepreneur. It's kind of in you. It's that high risk taking. You have this big idea. You want to change the world. You want to make life better. You want to try this thing out. You want to end up at the end of the game feeling free to do what you want to do and feeling victorious that you achieved your dream, and you want to feel like you changed the world and
Right.
helped other people.
Well,
And that's just in you.
You want
And
to change the world,
so-
you want to change your world, and you want to change, hopefully, the world for the better for your family and your friends and for the community, so that, you can sit back and say, I did this, and this is what happened.
Yeah, I will tell you, though, I have found in my 40 plus years of working with entrepreneurs and working with very small businesses and mega businesses, it seems to me more often that the entrepreneur actually has the greater good in mind. I think the true entrepreneur who actually grinds it out, makes it work, is the person who is really doing it for the greater good. And it's not just a selfish act.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we all have something within us that makes us want to do good work and do valuable work. And when you lose sight of that, and one of the things I want to ask you about is how sometimes we do lose sight of that in our daily struggle, the never-ending battle to keep it going. And sometimes we get sidetracked by some of the tedious elements of it, and it breaks our spirit.
Well, you do have the difference in that same emotion, whether you're an employee working in a company or whether you're an employer in a small business. The challenge I find with what we often call the daily grind is the daily grind actually is essential. To make a small business work. How does a big business work? It works primarily because of things that are done every single day, every week, every month, over and over again, that holds it together, that gives it a sense of continuity. But the small business doesn't have those roots built, that infrastructure built, doesn't have those processes built. And so the grind often becomes trying to figure out what those things are. And that you have this opposing feeling in the morning. I got to work on, big projects to advance my business, to project it forward. But on the other hand, I also fully know that there are daily, weekly, monthly things, which we often call the routine things, that make the business actually work and run every day. And you have to do both of those at the same time.
Which is always the biggest challenge for me and for other entrepreneurs that I know. I'd like to continue that conversation with you, Rick. We're going to take a quick break here for some commercials. When we come back, we'll have more with Rick Carter, the creator, owner, and CEO of LIVAYO.
I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
Why buy local? When you shop with local businesses, you're spending your money on more than just the item you're buying. You're adding a building block to your neighborhood. It starts with a single purchase, maybe a cup of coffee, groceries from a local co-op, or even a shiny new bicycle from one of the nearly 28 million small businesses nationwide. Your money doesn't stay in the till for long, though. Local business owners use the money to create a lot of economic activity in your neighborhood, like buying from suppliers, many of whom are also local businesses. paying taxes to the city, which builds and maintains the infrastructure we all rely on, employing local workers, contributing to 65% of the net new jobs each year. Add this all together and you've got a recipe for a happier, healthier, more connected neighborhood. Now that's an investment worth making.
Welcome back to Press Conference. My guest today is Rick Carter, the creator, owner, and CEO of LIVAYO. And Rick, when we broke for commercial, we were talking about the routines that we need to put into place to keep the business operating at the same time when we're looking at the big picture stuff. My understanding from our conversations is that those routines that you saw in big businesses, saw in corporate America, are what LIVAYO is bringing to small businesses. Would you elaborate on that need for routinizing?
Yeah. So what LIVAYO came about because of the problem I had. So the first small business that I had to run, it was actually a small business I ran for someone else, but I was not the owner. But when I got there, they said, well, we want to grow here and we want to expand here and we want to do this. And I thought, how exciting, this would be great to do. And then what started to eat me alive every day wasn't the lack of progress with those projects. It was the daily, weekly, monthly routines, the little mundane things that didn't get done that ended up turning into problems. And so I thought, wait a second, I can't focus on the big, cool, fun, interesting, exciting stuff that really propels the business forward. If every day we aren't, taking care of the daily, weekly, monthly things, getting the invoices out every single month, following up on unpaid invoices every other week, getting the CRM updated, all those daily, weekly, monthly things. So what I did, and this was actually 40 years ago, so we didn't even have computer programs.
Right.
I sat down and wrote down what are the production things I have to do every day, every week, every month. What are the marketing things I have to do every day, every week, every month? The money things I have to do, the management things I have to do, the things to take care of the people, the things to take care of the cash flow. What are all those little daily, weekly, monthly things that have to be done? I wanted to get those done first every day so that I could put my full attention to my fun, interesting projects. Well, 10 years later, I ended up actually putting that into a little software program, and I used it in my consulting world. And then I had the chance to build my own company from scratch, like zero revenue, zero people. And we grew that from zero revenue to $6 million, 40 people over 5 years.
Wow.
And people say, how did you do that? And I say, it's pretty simple. I got it organized day one. So I didn't have to worry about the daily, weekly, monthly things happening that ran the business every day. And I couldn't afford, a production manager, marketing manager, a finance manager, or a people manager. Well, I had to have those things take care of themselves. And so I built LIVAYO, and that's exactly what LIVAYO does. It puts, if you just think about this way, let's say that you want to open up a pet store, and you say, wait a second, how do you run a pet store? Right. Yeah, you love the animals and you have to buy the animal, but how do you run the actual pet store? Well, there are daily, weekly, monthly routines for running a pet store, just as there are for running a florist shop or a landscape business or a physician office or a law firm. There are daily, weekly, monthly habits that make that work, that give it infrastructure, that give it foundation, which helps create it and give it the ability to perpetuate itself going forward. So then you as the owner can do the work of the business, right, and do the fun projects.
And those are the fun projects and the ideas and the creation, the act of creation that keep you going, that keep you energized and keep the passion going. And when you lose sight of that passion, you can lose sight of the business totally, while those other routines are not being addressed.
Yeah.
One of the things I thought was interesting too, Rick, about what you're doing is you're looking at small businesses as another part of the entrepreneur's life. In other words, the processes, the routines that you're establishing that you're able to work through LIVAYO with increase the quality of life for that entrepreneur and his daily life and his long-term life outside of just the business. Can you
Yeah,
tell?
I mean, it goes back to the name of the company, LIVAYO. Again, I have done consulting work in billion-dollar businesses and $100,000 a year businesses, all kinds. And the thing about the small business owner, they're taking a much, much different risk than the high-priced CEO. A much different risk. They deal with balancing dream and dread.
Right.
Literally in the same moment. They'll have a thought about their dream and the dread of failing in their business. And how do you keep that in balance? Well, the problem is we get so focused on, there are three things that the small business owner wants, right? They want prosperity, they want longevity, and they often forget the third one, which is have an enjoyable life along the way.
Right.
Get joy out of your business. That's why that's hence the name LIVAYO, which means IO means joy, to live with joy, because the objective of LIVAYO, the software, is to help you be prosperous, to help you last long, have a business that has longevity, and at the same time, to actually enjoy the business. It's one thing to make money in small business and just think that somehow it's inherent in that you be unhappy and stressful and full of angst.
Yes.
And the other problem is, of course, if you feel, the same way and you're not making money, that's a double hit.
Yeah.
So it's not enough for us, in terms of our mission, to have someone just be prosperous with their small business and have it last for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. LIVAYO is there to help it be an enjoyable experience along the way.
Right, because you really, if you're dreading going in, if you're dreading opening up the laptop, or if you're dreading making the phone calls, you're not going to lose that dread because, of the volume or the quantity of the tasks. You're going to rebuild you're going to be more resilient if you're enjoying what you're doing, if you're happy with what you're doing, if you can feel that passion every day in your professional life. And that's one of the things when I was doing some reflection a couple years ago with my coach, another host on this channel, Charlie Timmons. One of the things that I realized is that I've been in the public relations business since I was in my teens. Why am I still in it? It's because I like what I do. I like meeting people. Well, isn't that more of a vocation than a job? And when I started to think of it as my vocation in life, then it became, and that's why I do what I do. Sometimes when we're going through those routines, as you mentioned, we lose sight of that. And we're not happy, and we're not enjoying it, and the dream and the dread kind of overwhelm you.
Yeah.
So what are some of the types of things that LIVAYO in your design helps an entrepreneur or a small business owner do?
Well, I want to touch on the effect it has on how they feel a little more than what it does.
Yeah, I would like to hear that.
If you just think about the small business owner, right? They're here today, and they want to get here tomorrow, usually in the future sometime. And, they want to become prosperous and have a long-lasting business and enjoy it so that they can end up feeling free to live the life they want to live. Feeling like they've, victorious that they achieved their dream, and feeling grateful that they've had a chance to change the world and affect individuals' lives. The problem right now today, acutely, today, is they don't feel confident that the business is sufficiently organized to grow.
Right.
Or they don't feel peace of mind that everything is going to get done that needs to get done every single day, and especially if they're trying to get that thing done through others. And they don't feel that sense of safety and freedom that they can get away from the nagging little mundane things to get up to the exciting propelling things that make the business work.
Sure.
They don't have that sense of, they don't have that confidence and that peace of mind. And that's exactly what LIVAYO gives. I recently interviewed several customers and recorded those interviews, and that's what they all said. It gives them peace of mind. It gives them confidence that they can grow.
Isn't that wonderful?
That's what's important to me.
Yeah. I can remember at another point in my career, I was working with a gentleman, same age as me, who had been very successful on a couple different startups. And he was in the midst of, I was working with him at this one particular startup. It was my last full-time job before I started my own business. And he came into work one day and he was very, very depressed. And I used to talk to him early in the day just to get a gauge for what he was doing, because I was his PR guy and he was the CEO and we had a good relationship. So I went into his office and I said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "I just realized I'm responsible for all these people's mortgages." And it changed the way he wanted to do business going forward. He did not want to be responsible for everybody's mortgages. He wanted to be the big vision, big picture guy. And in the other entrepreneurial ventures he has started since that time, he has always kept it small and kept it close to the vest. And when it got a little bit bigger, he moved on. He started, grew it, and handed it off to somebody else. And I think that that's one of those things that we don't think about. And when we have that thought, if we're not prepared for it, that changes our whole lifestyle. That changes our whole point of view about how to run this business. And I think something like what you're doing with LIVAYO, bringing that peace of mind, if you will, to, okay, if we do this, then we will be able to get to this without having to pull our hair out every single day over, right, God, did we forget to make that payment? Or God, did we forget to ask for the money that we are owed?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's that confidence that people, the people need to feel confident that the business is running in such a way that it can grow.
Yeah.
And what LIVAYO does is it bridges that gap. It gives you a tool, it gives you a mechanism so that you can look out at your dream and get away from that dread, because you're confident that the daily, weekly, monthly things, again, if you think about what LIVAYO is not project management.
Right.
LIVAYO is not things to-do list. If you think about the work that you do every day, big business, small business, any job, you're either doing one-time tasks, which are projects, but they go away when done, or you're doing one-time tasks, the little itty-bitty things that once you do them, they're gone. But the stuff that makes the business actually work every day is the stuff that never, ever goes away. It's daily, weekly, monthly. And that's what LIVAYO captures, documents. You write it down one time, it works forever. Everyone gets their daily habit list. We call them habits because we want you to build the right habits to make your business work perfectly. And then as the owner, you can see every single day what got done across every task, every job, every person, every single day across the entire business. And that's what gives them the peace of mind and the confidence that they can grow.
That's fantastic. I really think that that's something that's been long needed, and I would love to see more people taking advantage of that opportunity to work with you. Rick, what would be the best way for them to get in touch with you to learn more about LIVAYO? We mentioned the website, it's livayo.com, but are there other ways that you suggest people get in touch with you?
They can, I would just go to the website, and on the website there's a link to have a demo, to schedule a demo. You can actually get a link to look at our YouTube videos, and there's a phone number on the website to give me a call.
Fantastic, and I do know from my experience with you that the website is very, very compelling content and very interesting stories. I love the way you do your videos on the website with your having a conversation with the camera directly to your customers and prospects. And I think that that's a great way to communicate. And I'm very grateful that we have had the chance over the last few weeks and months to get to know each other. I hope my viewers today get a chance to know you a little better as well. I highly recommend you take a look at livayo.com, get in touch with Rick. He is an interesting man to meet and discuss with, and I think LIVAYO would be a great help to many small business owners and entrepreneurs going forward. Thank you for your time again today, Rick. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to more conversations with you down the line. I want to thank all of you for watching today, and I remind you that I always look forward to hearing your stories. Give me a call at 215-266-5943 or email me at jim@jhdenterprises.com. And remember that everyone has a story, but not everyone knows how to tell that story. I'd love to help you tell your story. Give me a call. Take care. We'll see you all again very, very soon.